We want to thank Sideline Interactive indoor scoring tables and video boards for their sponsorship of the Educational AD podcast and Tech Tuesday. Sideline Interactive's products not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, but they create that ultimate game day experience. Check out sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell tickets online for all your events, not just athletic events, but things like school plays, school concerts, dances, even graduation. Along the way, they'll show you how to scan the attendees that come to your events and collect your revenue. And every step of the way, you'll have a dedicated client success manager providing hands-on support. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. The Wall of Fame board is an interactive touchscreen display that sits on the wall in your school, highlighting the top performers, both past and present, in athletics, academics, and the arts. But it's so much more than that. Wall of Fame is an extensive content program that helps you every step of the way, allowing you to tell more compelling stories that will better engage your audience. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake to find out more and to get a 5% discount off your Wall of Fame purchase. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. Huddle is going to provide your coaches, your athletes, and your teams with the tools they need to play at the highest level. Go to huddle.com and you're going to find a complete professional grade solution for the challenges that we all face as athletic directors. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating world-class content for their school's social media channel. You can do it in seconds, and you don't need any design experience. Go to Gipper.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. Use our code ADPOD10, and you'll get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Create custom content for your school's social media channels. We also want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com and check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. SnapRaise is their fundraising platform. It's so easy and so effective. They've helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. They even have a program where you can get your funding before you start your fundraiser. Go to snapraise.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms. Go to finalforms.com/Jake and find out how you can join the Final Forms team and help your stakeholders, your coaches, and you as an athletic director. It's time that you talk to a team that's walked in your shoes, and the staff at Final Forms are all former athletic directors or coaches, and they're there to help you. They get it. Go to finalforms.com/Jake to get started today. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic surveys are a quick and easy way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire program. Athletic surveys also connects you with the 98% of the parents and student athletes that really love your program, and it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Typically, athletic directors only hear from that 2% that want to complain, and we need to hear from them, but you also need to hear from the 98% that love your program. Go to athleticsurveys.com and get started today. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is our own personal tech guru, Scott Paine. If you're new to the podcast, Scott is a certified master athletic administrator. He's also familiar with all kinds of applications, hacks, things that help an athletic director do their job better. Also, very active at the national level as he's part of the faculty for both of the NIAAA's tech courses. And on top of that, he's a new podcast host. So, Scott Paine, welcome back to Tech Tuesday.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today's fun. We're staying in the Google Workspace. I think I'm kind of rounding out the Google Workspace at this point. I think we've covered every application after this one that you can in Google that you would probably want to use. There's also other ones in there, but you can go dive into those, or we can talk about those later on. Today's is Google Sites. I think a lot of people, when you look at Google Sites, the when you look at it from the front end, it is a website making application within Google. It's free. You can make your own domain names in there, and you can easily buy a domain name if you want it, and they range. A lot of them are $12 to $14, but if it is a name that has like athletics in it or something that's a little bit more known, you bet around that it's going to be a little bit more money to go get it. But most of them are $12 to $14. It comes out as a website building application, but you can use it for more than just that. I think what we've seen in our LTCs for 613 and 614, most would use it as like if you don't have a website company that you're using to build your own department website, maybe even your own league website. We see some schools utilize this for an athletic department webpage, a league webpage, and like it's their landing page because their school district doesn't have something for them. So they just make their own and they call it, whatever, go wildcats.com or whatever it is for your school's mascot. We I personally used it as I made a coach's handbook out of it. So you can, because it's so mobile friendly, it comes up on a computer screen really easily, but it also, Google Sites allows you the flexibility that automatically formulates itself into a tablet and a phone view. So you don't have to worry about it looking right. It automatically does that for you when you go between different devices. So for me, it was really easy to make a coach's handbook that had all those things that you would, myself or my secretary would get emailed questions on. We made it into a tab or something in the Google handbook, and then would just shoot that back out to coaches. They can have it on their phone, they can have it on their computer, they can have it in both places. But it was easy for them to answer their own questions when they came up, or as questions came up, we would add the information there. Where's the bus? I want to request a bus form, and that's on there. Well, we don't have to send it to you; you can get it yourself, right? There's a lot of layers to that. There's a lot of time that involves making one of those, but that's an application. I've seen schools make newsletters out of Google Sites, so you can make a newsletter that's an easy link that you can send to parents or to individuals in your school district that has updated areas. And Google Sites is so easy to use because it's drag and drop features. So it's very easy to put things in and formulate it the way that you want it to look. So there's just a lot of different applications you can use Google Sites for, whether it is a website or if it's something a little bit more probably tech savvy in terms of a handbook, or something that you don't want to keep making that's an active document versus I think how most ADs have it. It's a paper based document or like a Microsoft Word doc that's very static. There's not I can read the information, but I can't get information out of that document in regards to actionable things like submitting a bus form, or how do I do an accident report or something along those lines, and actually have the form being ready to be formed or be submitted. So
Scott, that sounds really cool. But again, talking to that technologically challenged AD like me, how easy is it really?
yeah, I mean, so the easiest part to do right off the bat would be to just go to Google Sites. I think to pull it up in your web browser, you're literally, I think it's sites.google.com. It'll take you to the homepage for Google Sites. If you're logged into your Google account, you should be able to, it should bring up like if you've ever made one, which if you're new to it, you probably won't have anything there, but it'll have an option of like you can see some set ones that they already have in their template gallery right at the top. I would just say click into one of those and see what it looks like. You'll see how easy it is to get into Google Sites, and then the scope of what you're trying to do. Like if you're just like, I do want, like my school doesn't give me an athletics webpage, then I would just say you find one that maybe is set up for a business or something along those lines, and you click, I want to see, click into it. It'll show you that you can have a homepage. That's your landing page, like any website you go to these days. And then at the top, there's navigation pages. Like if you had a home, you could have fall sports, winter sports, spring sports, and they could have each separate tabs or pages for that you could, someone could go to and look at. Um, and I would just start there. Like what I was talking about with a handbook or a newsletter, the handbook would have a ton of different pages because you're going to have a lot of different sections that you want people to point to. And in each of those, I would have layers of that's a Google sheet that you need to fill out, or that's a Google Doc or whatnot that you can embed or integrate into Google Sites. But it is extremely easy to use because on the right hand side of your screen when you're on Google Sites is all the options on how you can drag and drop from there into your Google site that you're working on. And like a newsletter is as easy as I'm only going to have one tab. It's literally the homepage, and I'm just going to put sections on that same page scrolling down that I have for that newsletter, and it's literally drag and drop. So again, I think we've said it before on Tech Tip Tuesdays. You definitely go use YouTube. YouTube is a great resource. If you type Google Sites and like what getting started, there's a lot of good content creators out there that have already made some videos that walk you through the ins and outs of Google Sites. But if you have some time just to freely play around with it, it is a really cool application to use when you don't have the money to go buy a website yourself or use a company to buy a website per se, for maybe your athletic department, or maybe you just want to make a resource for your coaches or something along those lines, and you want to use it that route.
So I guess one quick question: there's no charge to use the Google site.
No, so Google Sites is free. Again, it's one of the Google applications. I think everything in Google nowadays is free. The only thing that you would ever get charged for is if you choose to want to have a very specific website domain name. So your www dot, you know, educationaladpodcast.com, like that would be something that you would have to go in and buy. And those start at $12, and they can go up into the thousands if someone already owns that domain name, or if it's a very popular, like if you some reason have Nike in your name, that domain name is not going to be a cheap domain name,
Right,
right?
right.
So that would be the only thing. If you want a specific domain name, you can go into Google and it'll automatically give you a free domain name with that site, and you could publish straight to the internet right then, with their own self-created one. It's just not as specific as you might want it to be.
Right. And again, for our listeners, this tech challenged AD, as Scott was explaining that, I went into my own Google account, my Gmail account, went up to the waffle icon, and Google Sites was not listed, but it did say more from Google. And I clicked on that, and it took me to a Google site that had a whole bunch of stuff. But as I just scrolled down, eventually they had all their different apps, if you will, and Google Sites was right there. Clicked on it, and it popped right up, and there were a lot of templates there, a lot of options, a lot of instructions. So again, Scott's not here to build your Google site for you, but he can certainly point you in the right direction. And as he mentioned, YouTube is a great tool to have in your athletic director toolbox. So once again, Scott, if somebody does want to pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can just get me on my personal email, Paine, Paine, period, Scott, gmail.com. And then I'm on Twitter as at Coach Paine, and I'm also on LinkedIn. So whichever way you want to get a hold of me, more than happy to answer questions or connect with you through whatever outlet is most comfortable for you.
Okay. Well, Scott, thanks again for sharing today, and all the best as you move forward in 2023.
Appreciate the time, Jake. See you guys.
For our listeners, we do this every Tuesday, and we upload the videos to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. There's YouTube again for you. We appreciate you listening today. Come back just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Again, we appreciate you listening to Tech Tips on the Educational AD Podcast. Before we go, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors one last time. Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. We want to thank Athletic Surveys. As an athletic director, you hear frequently from those disgruntled parents and student athletes, but that's really only about 2% of your population. You need to hear from the 98% that support your programs. Go to athleticsurveys.com and set up a survey for your school and your program. We want to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com, start creating custom content for your school social media channels. Mention you heard about it on the podcast, and you'll get 10% off. Use the code ADPOD. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Go to hometownticketing.com. Start selling your tickets online for all your events, not just sports. We want to say thank you to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Snap Mobile. Snap Mobile is the parent company for Snap Raise, Snap Connect, Snap Store, and all sorts of other great suites. Go to snapraise.com and start raising funds for your athletic department. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms, the industry leader in forms and registration. If you're looking for a really great organizational tool, use Final Forms. Go to finalforms.com/Jake. And finally, we want to say thanks to Athletic Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Vital Signs is an interactive display that helps you recognize your teams, your records, and your Hall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake to find out more and also to get 5% off your next order. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake. We'll see you next time on Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast.